Hi, I'm Adam Meyer of Mill City Lutherie in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And in this video, we've got another one that's kind of special. 1937 Martin OOO-28. And this is in very good condition. Really the only issue with it is the frets are getting pretty worn down, so I'm going to do a refret. But a guitar like this does not have an adjustable truss rod, so this is going to be a little bit more challenging. I'm going to have to examine the guitar really well ahead of time. Check for the relief with strings on, take the strings off, check the relief again, understand how much the neck flexes so that when I install the frets and do a fret dress that the guitar actually sets up when everything's done. Because if I go through all this work and get to where go to put the strings on, the neck is backbowed or too much relief, well then I gotta back up and redo a lot of work. So let's get a good look at this and get the job underway. Let's take a good look at this before we get the job underway. As you can see, these, well, I don't know if you can see, but there isn't much left to do a fret dress, and the customer just wants it all refreshed to play well. This thing is, it's been around, but it has been taken care of really well, not only by whomever owned it, but there have been repairs done to this, and they were done really well. One thing you notice up here, a lot of times people strumming, they'll hit with a pick. This has been filled in with a little lacquer, but it was done really, really well. It's almost invisible. The only way you notice it is because, there's little ripples in there from filling in, but you don't even notice any overspray. You'd have to use a black light to find it. There appears to be some top cracks that have been repaired, but they are barely noticeable. And any type of buffing or any work like that has been done very carefully, and everything just blends in nice. This is the way it should be done. That when the job is done, the guitar doesn't look repaired and it doesn't look brand new. It's supposed to look like a guitar from 1937. We'll get a look at the back here. Got the a lot of finish is rubbed off the neck. We've got finish rubbed off the back, but this is all normal. Not going to do anything with that. This is, it's supposed to look old. It's supposed to have some wear to it. Otherwise, it starts looking suspicious. Alright, got the guitar in tune. Going to get the relief gauge on here. And it's showing that it's almost 5/1000ths relief. That's really good. That's like a nice relief to have. It's not too much, not too little. So now I'm going to take the strings off and check again. Alright, we got the strings taken off. Let's take a look here what we've got. You can see that we're at 0. The neck is straight. So we have 5/1000ths of flex to this neck, which is, it's perfect. Like 5/1000ths relief is if your fretwork is really clean, that's a really nice, comfortable relief to have when your setup is done. So there's going to be no tricks, no frills, nothing extra done with this. It's just going to be pulling the frets, new frets in, trim off the ends, do a fret dress, and everything should turn out really nice. Refret means new nut because the nut wears down with the frets. Plus, I believe this looks like somebody has already used some paper underneath it, which is on a nice instrument, that's a no-no. If you're a professional, you do not do that. So I'm going to scribe along the edges, even though there's probably not any finish here, and get the nut popped out. Yeah, there's paper glued to the bottom of this nut. See that? So I'll be making a new bone nut by hand, and I'll do a little lacquer touch up on it to kind of get it to blend with all the aged finish on this. Now, my method for pulling frets is pretty similar to everybody else, or most people. I've got a fret puller. It's, this is ground down. I actually ground this down a little bit more than the way it comes when it was bought from a tool supply company, just so I can get down nice and tight to the fingerboard as I use the tool to pull the fret loose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a little water across the top here, use a soldering gun to heat the fret up. Any glue will kind of crystallize and will let loose, and I'll be able to pull the fret out nice and clean, hopefully. This is a really old ebony, so it's likely that there might be some chipping, and being that it looks like it's been refretted before, hopefully we don't have any extra damage from the wood, or damage to the wood from the fret coming out. So here we go. There it is. That was actually surprisingly easy. So the rest of this looks like it'll just be smooth sailing. This came out, as clean as it possibly can. And yeah, this is a good sign for the rest of the guitar. As you can see, I've made this all nice and smooth for the fret to sit on. There's little notches filed in right where my thumbnail is from a previous fret job on this, whether it was a fret dress or refret. Somebody really dug in on the side of the frets. I'm not going to take those out because that would be thinning down the fingerboard too much. Just going to move on and start installing the new frets. Okay, so this fretting will be done quite gingerly compared to others. Get the fret cut to size, bent to the appropriate radius. You can feel that there are places where it feels loose, other places where it will bite. Make sure that I put it in where it's going to bite. I'll start with putting a little glue through the middle of the fret slot to start with. This keeps from getting it all over the place and There's less cleanup when I'm done. Feel where it's right there. And you gotta inspect to make sure that you have it seated completely. And it is. And we just trim off the excess. Frets are all installed, the ends have been trimmed and made even with the edge of the fingerboard. Everything's nice and smooth. Now it's the time to do the fret dress. Normally I would make the nut, string it up, use my string tension simulator, but as I mentioned before, it's non-adjustable Martin. There's just a steel tube in here that helps flex against the strings, and it flexes just the right amount. So I'm going to do this on my bench top. The idea is from the playable area of the neck, first fret up to where it meets the body. On this one it's the 14th fret. That's all got to be level, so level it out so everything is perfectly matching my straight edge all the way across. these really old Martins. See here how the peg head angles back. The base of where the nut sits, this nut shelf, follows that angle. So I need to clean the glue off here without altering that angle, and then I will make a nut blank that follows that angle. So I'm going to be cleaning it out with chisels and a little file, just enough to get the glue off, and then it's time to fit the nut blank. Alright, got the nut to fit in the first time here, but if you can zoom in here, not quite perfect yet. So I got to sand that angle just a little bit to get it to fit better. It's on the fingerboard side. The angle of the nut isn't quite steep enough yet. So I'm going to take a few strokes here at it and see what we get. We did like 4 or 5 strokes, and that's fitting a lot better. Sitting real tight. Do just a couple more here. There we go. Now it's just like every other nut where I'd mark the sides, trim it in, and start slotting. So the final touch I'm going to do on this nut is I'm going to add a little aged clear. I'm going to just kind of brush it on this edges a little bit, and that helps emulate that it's the original nut, that it was put in and finished sprayed over it. I could have used a natural bone nut, or vintage is how it's often listed when you're ordering it. But this guitar's special case, you know, these really unique, very pristine vintage instruments, I like to do this method. It's just that little extra touch. So you just, you know, you need to prime the brush here, the marker, whatever you want to call it, and just be very careful. You can always wipe some of this off. You just go around all the edges. You'll need to clear it out of the nut slots when you're done. And if you need to put a little piece of tape on the edge to make sure you're not getting it all over the peg head, you can do that as well. All right, let's check this completed relief here. Just set into place. As you can see, it's right at 5 thousandths. Perfect. And here on the treble side, we are at 2/32. And a close-up of the action. See, we are 3/32 on the bass side. have it, another completed job. This one turned out very well. Everything is right at Martin's specifications, which are just kind of general acoustic specifications. It's always kind of a treat to work on something like this, because you know it's going to turn out really well if you have the experience working on these. Because with the non-adjustable Martin necks, they always have the right amount of flex. It's rare if you get a neck that's got problems. And maybe someday I'll have another guitar come through with a non-adjustable neck where I have to do something like a heat treatment or level the fingerboard. But these are typically pretty automatic. So you can focus your time on making sure that, you know, when you're pulling the frets, you're not doing any damage, you're getting things put in just right. If this were a few years older, it would have had the bar frets, which becomes kind of a complication. Those frets act as a way of holding back against the string tension, so you have to get the guitar fretted just right. Another issue, these fret slots were actually really deep. They were only at the ends were the depth that was appropriate for this. So as you saw, I filled glue through the middle of the slots, put the fret in, and then went back with just a little bit on the sides. It's kind of fill in all that gap, so it's, you know, there aren't all these little hollow spots throughout the neck underneath the frets. So it's turned out really well. I'm going to get this back to the customer. If you have any questions about this or any of the other projects in my video collection, you can always leave a comment or contact me directly. You can check the About section of my channel and you'll find my phone number and email address. And we'll see you next time.